And I'll start out by asking Ashliegh, in terms of being able to take what you learned from Santa Barbara and be able to share that with other counties, how relevant is the results first work that you do in one county going to be to other counties in the state of California and around the country?
Well, the findings probably won't be all that relevant to other counties because, like I mentioned, this is definitely a customized approach, taking into account how much it costs in your county versus this other county, how much it costs to provide programs, and how much it costs to provide all of these different pieces in the system: prosecution, defense, pretrial, holding, housing in local jails, and community supervision. So all these things are taken into account. We'll definitely learn from the process of what it takes to get counties to really collaborate really well, which is a nice laboratory here in California because all of the CCPs that I've met so far are incredibly friendly and collaborate very well. So we're definitely learning how to pull data, what kinds of workarounds we need to develop to match probation data to courts data. We're learning this is a very exciting process in Santa Barbara and are happy to share lessons learned on that and with any other county.
Thank you. We have a question from Chief Jenkins.
Correct.
And the question was, what kind of workload impact did this have and what resources needed to be dedicated to the Results First project in Santa Barbara?
Well, when we began the discussions with Results First, that was one of the questions that we asked. And they indicated early on that if we wanted to move the project forward very quickly, they were up for it, and we could provide additional resources on the front end, kind of front load it and get results quickly, or we could pull it out over time and not have to devote quite so many resources. And I think we've taken kind of an in-between approach. We don't want to drag it out too long, but we also recognize with everything else going on that we needed to be somewhat thoughtful about going forward and not overwhelming everyone, because it didn't just involve our resources, but the partner agencies. Thus far, it really hasn't been overwhelmingly demanding of our time. Each agency, when they have to contribute something, might have a week or two where they're really working on it, and then they pass it off and it goes on to another agency. So no one agency has been impacted. Now, we are still very early in the process. We have a project manager with the probation department that will be working more closely with Results First staff on inputting the data into the model. And that's the piece that we're still kind of cautiously optimistic that he will be able to master it fairly quickly and that it won't be very time depleting of his resources. But only time will tell how quickly we do learn. One of the things that Ashliegh said earlier was that it was designed so that they could teach us and increase our capacity and then step back. But I do want to comment. They promised us early on that they would not desert us in the process, that they would be there as long as we needed them. So we may need them longer than they expected.
Thank you. And a question for Ashliegh. How do you identify a program as effective?
Sure. Well, programs are deemed effective through the research that the Washington State Institute for Public Policy has done. So all of the program evaluation data that they've culled from across the country, so back a certain number of years in all English-speaking journals, some from state agencies, some unpublished things that they've been able to get their hands on. All of this relies on this national research base of meta-analyses of individual programs that have undergone rigorous evaluation. So that's not to say that this list of programs that are in the model are the only effective programs that are out there. They're just evidence-based in that they've been evaluated, and there's evidence that shows that they are effective. So the model does leave room for innovation. If you have a program evaluation within your county of a specific program that you run, and you've done a rigorous evaluation, and you can say with certainty that this program is effective, we can use that effect size that you generated and pop that into the model and pop in your populations data and your cost data and be able to run that through the program as well.
Thank you. And one last question for Tanja. How is Santa Barbara defining and capturing how is the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office, I think, defining and capturing recidivism, and does the methodology differ between results first and probation measurements?
So for this particular project, we are using what Results First has defined as the recidivism measures. So it is looking at convictions for the offenders as the recidivism. It doesn't look at arrests. We take, let's say we're looking at the recidivism rate for those people exiting probation. For our initial draw, we're looking at people that exited probation in 2006. And then going to the courts and getting the convictions on all of that population for every year subsequent to 2006. We'll be able to do the same for people exiting the jail, hopefully with a similar year of 2006. And so if they're exiting the jail, then going and getting the court conviction data directly from the courts, or for any other program that we want to plug into the model. I know that drug courts is one that we want to plug in the model. It's been very difficult for us to really establish the cost-benefit analysis of drug courts with so many different partner agencies involved in delivering drug court. So it's a piece that we will plug in there as well, and be able to look at earlier cohorts of drug court participants, because we have the participant information in the probation databases, and then we'll be able to match it with the courts databases.
Thank you very much. And thank you again to our panel. We appreciate it and look forward to getting updates on your studies next year.